Yeah, so we'll start.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the issue is the role that we added didn't reflect immediately. So that's the reason we were not able to create the item. So we'll try to create item now.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the inventory organization that we created, that is Tata INE org, and we attached the item class called Tata FG. Okay.
Okay.
So for this, actually, we attached a few templates. There, if you remember, we attached two template called TEMP. So initially, this is the one that we created, and later point of time, we went there and we created new template to verify whether that is reflecting. So both are coming now. So I'll just take SFG. So I'll create the template. I mean, I'll create this item on top of this template. So what is the use of having this template is that, let's say I have item, let's say 100 item to be created. So I cannot give each parameters one by one. So what I will do is that I will have a common template. So in this particular template, I'll define that how this item should be controlled. Let's say this particular item should be used only for the purchasing, and the another item should be used only for the procure. I mean, the order management or to maintain the inventory and the other parts of it, kind of an raw material. So this way, I will define a template, and I will control on each level, like the starting from the serial generation to making the invoice or the payment. Okay. So
Okay.
here, since we have used or we have defined this particular template called SFG, so I'm using this template. So we can see this in the selected list. So I have selected the template. So I'll say OK. Yeah. So here, if you see, we have the what do you call the item number. But whereas if you see in this particular field, this is a manual entry where user can enter anything. The reason why we are having this to field in this way is that for the description field, we said that user defined, which means I can enter anything, manual addition. Because if you see this item number generation, this should be a automated way, because I don't want to skip between and I wanted to have this in a sequential manner. Okay, so that is the reason. And apart from that, if you see here, I have given this as a free field. I can enter anything because this will give and detailed information to the user who is seeing this particular item. So that is the reason I have gave this particular field as an open. But whereas here I wanted to have the control. Okay. So this is based on the configuration that we gave. Configuration in the sense we gave it in the item class when we are defining it. Okay. And we have here different status of the item. So if we don't want to use this particular item, then we can simply say inactive. So from here on, we will not be able to use this particular item. And development is something that initially we were seeing that we have the designing phase and we have the content development phase. So similarly, there are multiple stages in the item creation. So if at all we are having a process of creating the design and the other things, we will say development, which means this is not yet complete. So this is in progress. Since we don't have that process in between, I will say active. Okay, and life cycle we can say active, since we are not using design and the production phase. So let me say this as a laptop. Okay.
Okay.
So here we are not using any approval mechanism. So this will be auto approved. By default, it will be auto approved and the item class that we have given in the earlier step. Okay, so that's it about our basic configuration. And the remaining thing will be defaulted from our template. So we can just cross check this particular things. Yeah. So here if you see, we have purchased as yes and purchasable as yes. The reason we are seeing this option as yes is that in template we have defined all those things. So it will copy down from the template. So that is the reason we are able to see these things.
Okay.
Okay, so basically that is the purpose of having the item class. So item class will basically give us more control in terms of ease of creating the item and also the security. Okay, so that's it about the item creation. So now we have created the item. So let's try to add quantity, I mean the stock.
Okay.
So there are two ways to add the stock of a particular item. So either we can raise the purchase order, and from the purchase order we will receive the item, and from there we will have the item interface to our stock or the sub inventory. The other way is to add through the miscellaneous receipt. Okay. So this is the page that we have added the asset. So this is only meant to add the assets. So I'll just leave this option open. I mean, I'm just leaving this, and I will navigate back to the supply chain execution. So here I have an option called inventory management. Okay, so there are multiple options. To start with, I'll start with the miscellaneous transaction. So why do we add miscellaneous transaction is that this is basically an adjustment entry where we will tell to the system that this particular transaction will have either positive or negative effect in the stock. So in this case, we wanted to have the positive effect. That is, we wanted to add item. So I will say miscellaneous receipt. Okay. So I'll just give the account code combination. So this is not mandatory. This is an optional field to give the account code combination. So the mandatory would be to select the type and the other related item and the sub inventory. So still, as an good to have, I'm just adding this.
Okay.
Okay. So the next step is to add the item. Okay. So this is the item that we created. And let us add, let's say 2000 quantity. Yeah, so now we can see that available quantity is 0 and unearned quantity is 0. So I'll
Okay.
just say submit and we can check the unearned quantity. Okay. So we have added this to identify or to check the unearned quantity. We will navigate to manage item quantities, and here we can just type the item name. Okay, so we can see that unearned quantity is 2000. Yeah, so this is what we have a totally of 2000. So we can see here that receiving and inbound is blank. The reason being is that we didn't use the traditional route of creating the purchase order and receiving the item from there. So instead, what we did is that we just created through the miscellaneous transaction. So that is the reason it is blank. So this is what the route to check the available quantities. Okay, so now let's say if I wanted to check any transaction that is pending or completed, so that I can check it from here. So if I click review completed transaction, so from here, let's say I give an item. So from here, I can basically check this particular activity for this item. So this transaction is complete. So that is why we are seeing it here. So if not, I will see the pending transaction in the other tab called pending transaction. So here we have option called manage pending transaction. So when we will use manage pending transaction is that we will have sort of a system where the item will be created in the third party application or the other system. So from there, we will be importing the transactions. So for those cases, what will happen is that it will build an interface using the REST API. So from there, we will import the transaction into Fusion application. So for those cases, if something is pending or errored out, so those transaction we can see it here. So when we click view pending transaction, we will have details of it. Since we don't have any such communication, so we will not have those information with us.
Okay.
Okay. Any doubt?
Um, Arun, actually, you told that the previous example, right?
Yeah.
That we are adding 2000 laptops.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, can you explain one
Yeah.
second?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So this is the screen that we have. So to add any item. So in this case, let's take a laptop. So if I want to add a particular item, so how I will add is that I will raise an requisition. I will make this as an purchase order, and through this purchase order, I will basically say that this is the date that I wanted, and I will receive the item. So when I receive this item, I will do inspection whether the quality check and everything is okay. Then I will give the go ahead. So from there, I will take this item and I will place it in my sub inventory. So this is the traditional or normal process to add stock into our inventory as the sub inventory. But here in this case, what we are doing is that basically we are adding through the ADAC transaction. So ADAC is nothing but temporarily we are just trying to add or reduce for our own convenience. So here, if you see, so we have multiple types. So miscellaneous transaction, we can use it for multiple types. So for our understanding, we used only the receipt. So let's say now I have added so and so quantity 2000. So
Okay.
now I wanted to issue this particular thing. Like I have a quantity of let's say 2000. So in this 2000, let's say the branch one is requesting for 50 quantity. So here instead of selling this to the respective branch, what I will do is that simply I will say miscellaneous issue, and I can just say a source and the other things. So I can transfer this particular item. So I'll just say this is in Tata. Since this is an issue, I will have this account code combination as a mandatory. The reason being is that if you see here, I'm just trying to issue this particular I mean the items,
Okay.
because logically if you see this is an outbound to me. So when this is an outbound to me, basically this is kind of an sales to me. So I will have to capture my cost here. Unless I have this in place, I'll
Okay.
not be able to see that or track it back to the level of understanding or reconciliation. Okay. So that is the reason we are having this account as a mandatory option. Okay. So now the transaction is done. So let's go back and check this. So this miscellaneous transaction is nothing but to add or reduce this particular item. So
Okay.
let's see other two cases as well. So if you see here, the quantity has reduced. So now if I check view item availability, I will see the difference. So it is 1950.
Okay.
So let's see another one case as well. Okay, so here if you see, so always it is only an receipt or it is an issue. But this will define for what purpose we are basically doing. So in this case,
Okay.
if you see, we have the manufacturing also. For the manufacturing receipt is nothing but this is mostly an raw material. So I have this one in one unit. I'm just transferring into other unit. So instead of creating the sales order and getting back and using back-to-back order, so what I will do is that simply I'll say manufacturing receipt, and I will get the respective stock into this, and I will say from that particular inventory R that has the stock, I'll say this is an issue. So there in that particular inventory, the stock will reduce, and in this particular unit called manufacturing unit, stock will increase. So they will start their manufacturing and they will create as an finished good. Okay.
Okay.
So similarly, if you see, we have other options as well. So these are the options to add the items into our inventory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while adding, we have to use this receipt or
Receipt. While adding, we will use the receipt. While we are dispatching to the other unit, we can say this way: when I am getting something inside my inventory, I
okay.
will say always receipt. But whereas when I'm giving my particular item to someone or some other unit, I will say issue. So I'm
Okay.
issuing something, so that I call as an miscellaneous issue when I'm giving to someone. And when I receive from someone, I'll say miscellaneous receipt.
Okay. And you also told that order, right?
Yeah.
That comes when we purchase the goods or something like that.
Yeah, yes. So purchase order will comes into play when we have actual business or actual requirement to add item in the stock. So usually this way we will not do or add the asset. So this is used for the temporary purpose, like on an emergency case, if you want to add it, we don't want to get this into the system and it will pass through multiple departments. So that way, if we don't want to have that process, we can simply go here
Okay.
and we can say that miscellaneous transaction, and we can say receipt. I mean miscellaneous receipt, and get the items. But the traditional way is to use the purchase order. So purchase order, what we will say is that we will say that let's say we have created an item called keyboard. So
Okay.
this keyboard, if we take in our inventory, it will be zero because we just created this item. We haven't received any item, or we don't have stock with us also, since this is a new item for us. So
Okay.
in this case, what I will do is that I will create an requisition. So requisition is nothing but I will request the vendor. So I might have 10 different vendors. So I might have Logitech, I might have other so and so vendors. So
Okay.
let's say I have five vendors. I will raise this requisition to five vendors. So I will get the quote from the vendors. So after getting the quote, what I will do is that I will select one particular vendor, and that because that might be a low cost, and the quality also it might be low, kind of a discounted price we are getting this. So I will select my vendor. So after selecting the vendor, what I will do is that I will create the purchase order. So why do I create the purchase order is that this is a legal document to the vendor that I agreed that I will purchase so and so quantity from you, and I will also pay for this particular amount. I mean this particular quantity and so and so price, so and so unit price. Okay, so that
Okay.
is the agreement. So that is kind of an instrument where it will state the legal authority to deliver the particular given item. So that is the reason we create purchase order. So when we have created the purchase order, so this will route to our vendor, the approved vendor or the vendor that we decided to purchase. Okay, so now vendor will get the purchase order. So after receiving the purchase order, he will review it and he will say that I can deliver on the given promise date, or maybe I will send it on two batch. Let's say I ask for 10,000 quantity of keyboard. So he doesn't have the capacity to manufacture all the 10,000 in a span of let's say 20 days. It will take for him at least 40 to 45 days. So what he will say is that I cannot deliver it at one go. Instead, I'll give you, I will deliver it, but I will make it as an two batch. So one batch I'll give it in let's say 20 days, and the second batch I will give in the next 20 days. So this way he will split it out and he will send across to the customer, that is our customer. So they will again review this particular request, and they will say yes, we are good with this. So on an emergency basis we want only the 5,000 quantity. So give us this 5,000 quantity in 20 days, and the rest of the items that we have requested, let us receive in the second batch. So they have agreed for this. So now what will happen is that if at all this again depends on the manufacturing model that they have. So let's take in our case they have stock with us. So since they have already stock and everything, so what all they will do is that they will do the quality check, and they will do the packaging and these things, and they will keep it ready for shipment. So now from the vendor end, they will what do you call, close the shipment, and they will confirm the shipment. So after confirming the shipment, this item will be received in our inventory. So here we have someone called inventory manager. So this inventory manager, what he will do is that he will receive the item. So there are multiple ways of handling this receipt. So direct, there are three ways. So one is direct, and another one is standard, and another one is inspection. So what is the difference between each? So here in this case, when I say direct, so direct is nothing but I just get the item and I'll close it. So from here on, the particular document will be converted into invoice. Okay, so this is one way, and second way is standard. So standard is nothing but I will receive the item and also I will mark this as an delivery. Okay, so two way. And we have another option, final. So final one is that we have inspection. So what is inspection? So inspection is something that I will inspect, or I will do the quality check for the received item, and after processing the quality check and the other things, I will give a certification that this particular item is under the quality check that company has what do you call established. Okay, so after this, I'll give go ahead for this. So these are the different ways of receiving the item. So now I have received the item in my inventory. So when I'm receiving this particular item, where I will receive is that I will receive it in my sub inventory. So after receiving this particular item, now if I go back to my what do you call the inventory and check the stock, I will see the item as in 5,000. The reason I will see this as an 5,000 is that we agreed that we don't want to have entire 10,000 in one batch. Instead, we will have this as an two batch. So in this batch, we have received 5,000. So what will happen is that I will receive this 5,000 and I will store in my inventory. So now if I check the what you call the quantity, I will see this as an 5,000 since I have received it already. So this way we will, this is our traditional route of receiving the item. What we are saying here is that for the temporary basis, if you want to receive the item or issue the item, so that is when we will use the miscellaneous receipt as the issue. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
probably we will be using this miscellaneous receipt and miscellaneous issue
Yeah.
in our application.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the functionality of this particular option called miscellaneous transaction. So the next option that we will see is that sub-inventory transfer. So now we saw that we have two options. So transfer between the sub-inventories or create a miscellaneous receipt that we don't have much track of it. And the third option is PO based stock. So now in this case, let's see the sub-inventory transfer. So let's say I have an inventory. So let's say I have a master inventory called Tata inventory. So under this, I have two inventories: inventory sub inventory one and sub inventory two. So sub inventory one has, let's say, 1,000 quantity, but whereas sub inventory two doesn't have the quantity, but whereas they have the demand for it. So in one side we have supply ready for supply, and the other side we have demand requirement. So what we will do is that basically we will initiate the request from here, and this will be transferred from our sub inventory one. So this is the navigation. We saw that create sub inventory transfer. So this is the option that we will use, and we will have the date. So here we can see that by default Oracle has given the seeded value called sub inventory transfer. So I'll just click this, and if I add this, and I will have multiple items. So in this case, I'll just select Tata, and I will select the inventory. So let me select from staging. Okay, so I'll let me transfer 100. So I can give any reason. Reason is not mandatory. So this is an optional. So let me say stock request. So now I'll submit this, and let me go back to the on hand quantity, and let me check the stock of my particular sub inventory.
Here 100 should be reduced, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm looking at the what do you call the inventory, not sub inventory. Yeah, so this is an inventory arc basically.
Okay. Now it's changed.
Yeah. So the reason is that I selected inventory instead of selecting the sub inventory.
Okay.
So when we select the sub inventory, we will have the actual information. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what. Now we have 1,850.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is our sub inventory, which means we have two, what do you call, we have a master inventory. Under that, we have a mini inventory kind of thing we can see. So that we
Okay.
call as an sub inventory. So there we can find the details.
Okay.
And let's say I don't find the details there. So how do I find is that I can simply go here, review the complete transaction. So this will have the information about the item. Yeah, so that's what we have, one as an inbound and one as an outbound. Okay,
Okay.
so this will be a kind of an our activity tracker.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what. So now what we will do is that the other details we will see when we are seeing the inventory module. So for now, we will go back to our setup and maintenance, and we will start configuring our procurement, and we will try to create one purchase order.
Okay. So this purchase order will be filled by buyer, right?
Yes, correct, buyer. So here the term is little different. So the term that is used is procurement agent. So I think the procurement agent is already created. Let me cross check this. Yeah, so this is created. So I'll just leave this as it is.
This is already created, right, Arun?
Yeah, yes, already created one. You want
How
to
can
see
we?
how to create it? I mean, that is just in selection, so that's why I didn't go into it. So if I want to create, I'll just say the business unit. So our business unit is Tata Automobile 03. So yeah, so 03. And from here, so since I have selected already this user, so I'll not
Okay.
be able to use it again for the same purpose. So I'll just select this, okay, and I will give access. Yeah, that's what the agent must be unique, which means this is already there. So let
Okay.
me take a different one maybe. Okay,
Okay.
so we have enabled this for a requisition, purchase order, purchase agreement. I mean, for most of the purchasing related configurations. So why this particular configuration becomes mandatory is that unless I have the access as an procurement agent, I will not be able to basically create. I will not be able to basically create what do you call the supplier. So here we have two things. So one is supplier and the other one is supplier side. So supplier is nothing but the party from where we are actually procuring the item. But whereas we have another one thing also called as an what do you call the vendor site. So the vendor site is nothing but our office. So let's take Tata. So Tata has office in let's say T Nagar, and he also has office in Nandanam. So this is one site. The T Nagar is one site, and Nandanam is second site. Okay. So
Okay.
similarly, we will have multiple sites. So here, this procurement agent, only this guy will be able to create the supplier site. So supplier can be created by anyone. So if I have access as an employee, so I can create the supplier, provided I have the enough navigation like the accounts payable manager or something. Okay, so with this, basically I can create the supplier. So, but I will not be able to create a supplier site. So to have this, I need this particular access. So if you see here, so since we have given access now, TrainT will be able to create the supplier site now. But whereas if you see earlier, it is only around 12 who will be able to create the supplier site because of the restriction that is placed in the system, where only the procurement agent will be able to create the vendor. Okay. So
Okay.
here, let's say I wanted to have what do you call this particular one agent or the buyer who will be creating for the multiple operating units or the offices. So in this case, what we will do is that we will create for the multiple office. So this is possible. So I will just click save and close, and I will add another row where I will say different BU but the same procurement agent. So that is also possible. So this particular agent, procurement agent, so he will handle multiple offices. So that is the understanding.
Okay. Procurement agent can able to create multiple suppliers, right?
Yeah, yes, yes, definitely. He will be able to create any number of supplies. We don't have any restrictions there.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other doubt?
Okay. What about that default requisitioning BU?
So default requisition BU is that, let's say I choose this particular procurement agent, and when I create what do you call the requisition in this particular BU, I have logged in as a trainee. So now if I try to create the requisition, I will see this as an defaulted. So I don't need to create, I mean, I don't need to select it every time. Basically this will be defaulted there. Defaulted in the sense it will be populated automatically. So here if you see, we have the values full. So this is populated. So similarly, I don't want to select it all the time. So I will say here that this is an default requisition BU. So that system automatically picks it.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is just to avoid the manual intervention.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other doubt?
But here the TrainT, that is the procurement agent name, right?
Yeah, correct.
That one or Tata underscore auto.
No, this is our business unit. So business unit is nothing but the unit which makes the sales or the expenses. So in this case, if we see in this unit, basically we are incurring some expense that we are trying to purchase something. In this case, laptop. So we are trying to purchase the laptop. So this is an expense. So where we are incurring this expense is that in this particular business unit. So BU is nothing but business unit. Business unit is the one where we will incur the expense or generate the revenue. So in this case, it is an expense. And here we can see agent. So agent is nothing but the buyer or the procurement agent who will raise this particular request to purchase the laptop.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Any other doubt, or we can move on? Hello.
Yes, sir, and we can. Yeah, yes, sir,
Yeah.
and we can move on.
Okay. Yeah. So we have created the procurement agent. Yeah. So the next configuration is to set up our common procurement options.
Okay.
So we have created the procurement agent, and the next step is to create the manage common option for payable and procurement. So this will be basically common for the finance module and the supply chain module, that is procurement.
Okay.
I think setups are done for this particular unit. Let me check once. Okay, so this is our configuration. Basically, what we will give here is that the account. So when we are doing this particular option, so how system should pick up the relevant account is what we are defining it here. So if you see here, we have given the liability account, prepayment account, and the other options. So this is basically only to define the account. So after defining the account, we will give the other options for the procurement. Okay.
Okay.
So anything on this or yeah, maybe just tell me anything in this page.
No, it is related to paying the bills like that.
Yeah, this is paying the bill. So the sequence is that what do you call the sequence is that basically we raise and purchase order and we receive the item. So from there we will link it with the payable module. So that is the option that we are giving. So this will be common for both the payables and procurement.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, fine.
Yeah. Okay, Arun. Okay. We can move on.
Okay, so maybe these things we will see at later point of time when we are actually doing the configuration for payable. So we will see the minimum configuration for payables as well. So probably we can see that at later point. So for now, we will see the setups that is required for our procurement side. Okay.
Okay.
Just give me 1 minute.
Arun, Arun, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, Arun.
Yeah. Sorry, some issue with my plug actually. Yeah.
Arun, we did not create the purchase order also, right?
Yeah. We haven't created it. So we haven't touched the procurement part. So all we did is that the inventory basics we have seen. So how to set up our inventory org and what are the ways that we can create the item and the other things we have seen.
Okay,
But the procurement side we are yet to start.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, this is already assigned. Yeah, since this is an mission instance, I think the available functional areas are already taken. So
Okay,
what we will do is that we will use the standard one that is available.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, so we have picked up the catalog that is available,
Okay.
and so catalog is nothing but the general information about the product basically. So we have picked up the catalog that is already available, and under that we can have the multiple branches of the products. So here if you see, so catalog, the function area is fashion catalog. So under this I can have multiple things like bags, I can have sunglasses, the travel accessories. So I have created a different category called laptop. So under laptop, we have added our particular item called Tata 1001 Tata FG. So this is our laptop item.
Okay.
Okay. So we have added. So now what we will say is that we will just save and close this. Yeah. So the next step is to create the approvals. So we will just say the standard approval configurations.
Okay. Arun,
Yeah,
each time we need to get the approval from the manager, something like that.
yeah, yes, correct. I mean, you are asking when we want to get the approval.
Like
Mm,
when we creating something, creating a or any some transactions
okay.
or
Uh,
creating some purchase order. So
no,
whether we need to get some sign offs from manager.
yeah, that's what. So here in system, if you see functional device, we have two ways of having the approval. So one is at the requisition level, and the other one is for the purchase order. So two levels we can have the approval. So the reason why we are having this approval at requisition is that requisition is the point when this particular thing is in the internal
Okay.
in the sense it is inside the company, so it hasn't reached our vendors. Okay. So
Okay.
before this reaches outside the company, we will want this particular option to be enabled for the approval, so that this purchase that we are trying to make, this is an valid purchase, or this is just to add the cost of the company. So this can be decided by the manager. That is procurement manager. He can decide that. So that is the reason we are applying the requisition. I mean approval for both the requisition and the purchase order. So it's not that mandatory that all the companies will use our this thing approval mechanism for requisition and purchase order. So there might be cases where few companies they might not use or they might not need the approval at both end. They might be require at purchase order because they might feel that this is an two job for them. So I have already approved the requisition. Again, why should I approve the requisition? I mean the purchase order. So that might be cases. So for those cases, we will see or we will set up only for the purchase order, but not for the requisition. But this is good to have feature because this will be inside our company, and we can very well control our approval mechanism in the first level of verification.
Okay.
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 Yeah. Okay, so this is basically the approval mechanism, like how we will define it. So here, if you see, so we have three things. So one is rule. So rule is nothing but we will just give an descriptive information that how this approval should work. So for example, if you see here, so we have this auto approval. So when do we use auto approval is something that for this process, let's say we don't want to have the approval to be initiated by the respective manager. So for these cases, what we will do is that we will just say auto approval. So
Okay.
we can just say in the condition bar that requester equals so and so party, and if this is matching, so we can enable the auto approval. So how do I set this up? Is that so? This is just an information. So this is not the actual setup or the configuration. So I just inform the system that this is the name of the rule. So where exactly I will specify the condition is that here. So here if you see, I have given the condition stating that if this is the requester name, then this should be automatic and outcome is approved. Okay. So
Okay.
this will be our action. So when we say approved, which means this will be in the approved status after the respective action. So here we have the automatic or manual. If it is manual, so let's take another one case. Yeah, so here if you see, so this is not an automatic approval. So instead we have few condition where the requester is the so-and-so name and the overriding approver is blank, which means I don't want to override my approval. I wanted to follow the same mechanism that as per the configuration. Okay, and we have the requisition amount. So amount is between 50 to 5,000. Okay, so I will also mention another category below 50 rupees. So that is what we saw the auto approval. So below this it will be auto approval. When this reaches a particular limit, so that is when this will require the manager's approval. So how do we basically define the manager's approval is that we will say, so we have something called approval group. So we will see it maybe after this particular configuration we will see. So approval group is nothing but basically we will give the hierarchy there. Let's say I have manager 1, manager 2 and manager 3. So manager 3 is the final approver or he is kind of an what do you call the final reach of the manager.
Okay.
Okay, so manager 1 is after my level. So if I want to submit this request, I will submit to the manager 1. So manager 1 will check with the manager 2 and manager 2 will check with manager 3. So this particular combination or this flow, we will set it up in the approval group. So there we will give the sequence of each approval stage. Okay, so we can attach directly the approval group here. So here, if you see, we are not mentioning any specific individual person. So here we have multiple options. We can give the individual or we can give hierarchy. So when we say hierarchy, we will need the what do you call the employee hierarchy to be enabled already. So in our case, we don't have the employee hierarchy. So we will be able to use the specific person or we will be able to use the approval group that we are using.
Okay.
Okay. So approval group that we have selected and we have said that approval is required. So here in this case, this approval is not automatically approved. So this needs an notification to be passed to another user. So he will basically verify and he will approve. So from there it will move to the next level. So that is how this will work basically.
Okay.
And this particular process are the action of approval. So this will happen based on this condition I have given it here. So unless this condition is not matched, system is not going to progress for this particular action. So it will stop because system will not understand that how should I take this. So it will say in progress, but whereas in real time this action will not be passed through. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just create one simple this thing for our understanding maybe.
So this is to reduce the risk, right, Arun?
Reduce the risk in the sense for to
Cost to
yeah,
the
yes,
company.
correct, yes, correct, correct, exactly.
And what is that overriding approval is blank, Arun?
Where is it exactly?
Yeah, in this table, yeah, first row itself, overriding. No, no, yeah,
This one.
yeah,
Yeah, so
the
this
approval is
condition,
blank.
how they have opted is that they don't want to use override approval. So when the approval is overridden, this particular condition will not be applicable. So for those cases, they have defined this case that when the approver is the actual approver is skipped. So that though for those cases, they don't want to use this particular approval mechanism. Instead, it will just pass through as an auto approved.
Okay,
Yeah, because they don't want to allow user to change the what do you call the approver.
okay,
Yeah, so basically those things we can give it here in the condition column.
okay,
So in condition column, if you see, we have multiple options to select and to have control over our approval mechanism. So if you see here, so we have destination type and we have the distribution amount. So let's say I don't want to have it more than let's say 1,000. So what I will do is that I'll just restrict with the value called 1,000.
okay,
So here I have an operator. So whether this is an equal to 1,000 or this is below 1,000. So let me say less than 1,000. So when this particular condition says that less than 1,000, which means for the less than 1,000 amount requisitions, this particular approval workflow will work out. Okay. So this is not that I can use only one condition. So I can use two conditions also. So let me say another condition. I'll add below this. So one condition that I have chosen is that this one, and another one let me choose as an buyer, and let me say assigned buyer. Yeah, I don't want to use charge account and the other things. Let me see, take this particular thing called assigned buyer. So assigned buyer, I don't want to give it in a range. Instead, I wanted to have this inside this particular column called values. So this will be kind of a list of value. Okay.
so instead of value, we can set some Gmail also.
No, that is not Gmail actually. The Gmail is attached to the user. So we are attaching the user actually here.
Okay,
So here if you see, so I have set up two conditions. So this is not our condition. Instead, this is an AND condition. So this particular combination should match. So when the amount is less than 1,000 and the buyer is around 1 2, so that is when this particular combination will be allowed.
okay.
Yeah, just 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah. You're asking something. Sorry, I missed it.
No, Arun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the condition that we have applied. So we can see that the condition has been updated here.
Okay.
We just gave the rule name and we selected priority as medium, and rule we have added it here. So the two rule that we have added it here. So one
Okay.
is the amount should be lesser than 1,000, and the second condition that we have set up is that this will be an buyer called Arun.
Okay.
Okay, so here the action. So how do we want to have? So whether we wanted to have an automatic approval, or we wanted to have what we call the approval request. So in this case, I will say automatic. So the outcome will be approved. So now we have set up the condition stating that this particular user called Arun. So when he is creating the invoice lesser than 1,000, so this will be automatically approved, because for the 500 and thousands, I don't need to get approval. So it is, if it is at least 5,000 or 10,000, so it makes sense that I need to get the approval, and based on the approval I'll purchase. But since this is lesser than 1,000, I'll say it is an auto approved. So I'll just create the requisition and this will be approved automatically.
Okay.
So after this, I'll just click deploy to make the necessary changes. So I have created a new rule. So I wanted to save this particular transaction. I mean the rule. So I'll say deploy.
Okay.
Yeah. So now our rule is done. So we can just click done. So now when we try to create the what do you call the requisition, system will make this as an auto approved. So similarly, we will have the purchasing document also, because I said that we have two levels of approval. So that is one for our this thing requisition, and the other one is for our purchase order. So we
Okay.
have set up for our requisition. So now we will set up for our what do you call the purchase order.
Okay.
Yeah, so here also we can see that we have different approval mechanisms. Okay, so I'll just add a new approval.
So, according to the customer requirement, we will be doing this.
Yes,
Correct?
correct. Yes, correct. Yeah. So I have just made the simple rule similar to our earlier configuration. That is, I have said that this is in Tata approval,
Okay.
and the condition that I have given is that if this is an what do you call the Tata Auto 03 BU, and the buyer is Arun 12. So, which means in this condition, system will approve it automatically. So, I don't want to have approval mechanism for only this particular business unit and combined with this user. So, apart from this buyer, if at all the other buyer is making this what do you call the purchase order, so system will route the approval mechanism if this is defined for the other buyer. So if not, this will stuck there saying this is an in progress. So for the other buyer also, we will have to set it up. So maybe we don't want to restrict with the buyer. So what we can do is that simply we can say that procurement BU. So for that, this will route it to the automatic route. So this way we have multiple attributes. So for each attributes based on the requirement, we can set it up and we can enable the approval mechanism.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we have enabled the approval as well. Receiving, I don't think we need. So I'll just give the control for the receiving.
Okay.
Yeah. So here, if you see, we have a few points that we can control the receipt application. So the first point that we have is that ship to exception action. So when the ship to location is not available, or this is in error, or this is an incomplete. So how do we want system to handle it? So whether system want to reject it or it want to give the warning. Okay. So
Okay.
none, which is means it doesn't take any action is what it's meaning. So I'll just say warning so that I'll get notified. And we have ASN. ASN is nothing but advanced shipment notice. So whether we want to use, so this will be common to picture when we use the supplier portal and combining with our this one shipment process. So that is when we will use the ASN. So for now, I'll just leave this option. And we have early receipt tolerance days. So let's say I ordered for maybe on 1st of January I have ordered it. So I assume that let's say I have an lot of 1,000. I have 1,000 lots in my inventory. So I assume that I can tolerate when this comes in 10th of this month. So I can take in, let's say, 500 lot. Okay, so that is my assumption. So based on this, I have placed the purchase order. So now when I say early receipt tolerance in days, so if the vendor is giving me the delivery in early days, so will I be able to equip it? Which means, can I place this orders that I'm receiving it? So that is what I'm mentioning it here. So based on my inventory plan and the other things, I will set up the tolerance as well. So this is again based on the requirement. So for few cases it will be zero, and other cases it might be possible that we might have the tolerance days as well. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just leaving this option open, and we have also late receipt tolerance days. So maybe we ordered for 10th, and whether we wanted to have it at later point also, so that is also possible. So again, this is based on the requirement. And we have receipt days exceed action. So when the receipt days has exceeded, so whether we wanted to warn it or how do we want to track it back. So that is what. And we have over receipt application. Let's say I ordered for 10 quantities, but whereas the delivered quantity is 12. Okay, so unless I give this tolerance, system will, I mean, this particular transaction will fail. And we have the receipt routing. So receipt routing, we have three methods as we saw earlier. It is direct. So direct in the sense I will just get the item, so the delivery is done. So for this delivery, I will basically make the invoice or the payment. So we can just say the Amazon courier. So if you say Amazon delivery, we are not going to check anything or we are not going to do anything. We just receive it and the item is delivered or updated in the system. So that is as simple as that. And the second option is that we will make the receipt and we will make the delivery. And the third option is that after receiving the item, we will do the quality check or the inspection as well. So after this go ahead, basically we will say to the system that this particular item or the amount of item is inspected and this is good to receive inside our inventory. So from there on, this stock will be added into our inventory. So here for our case, I will say standard receipt. Okay.
Okay.
So the other two options are like related to the quality and the other things. So whether we wanted to have quality inspection and the substitute receipt. So these are the options. And here, if you see, we have a few controls. So whether we wanted to allow unordered receipt. So with the purchase order, we have it. So whether we wanted to have unordered receipt as well. So I have just enabled for this thing, maybe at later point if we require. Okay. And we have enforced blind receiving. So which means, let's say whatever the amount that we have ordered, so this is not matching with the receipt. So whether we wanted to enforce it, so we can enable this if we want to have that option.
Okay.
And if we want to print the receipt, so that is also possible. We can enable this option.
Okay.
And whether we wanted to include the closed purchase order for the receipt. So mostly this will be no. So I'm just disabling this because once the purchase order is closed, we will not be able to use that particular purchase order.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have allow routing override. So routing is nothing but our receipt routing, that is standard, direct, or the other mode. So I'll just say allow. Maybe in rare case, if I want to do that, I can change that at later point. Okay, and then we have process R line together. So whether we wanted to process R line or line by line, so that we can define it here. Okay,
Okay.
and the other options are related to printing and the other things. So I'll just, this is understandable. So I'll just leave this option. And if we come this side, again we have the receipt numbering and the, what do you call, the returns. So receipt number, whether we wanted to generate it manually or through automatic. So in this case, I have opted for automatic. So I said the starting number would be 1000. So from 1000, this will start creating it.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have RMA. So RMA is nothing but returns. So that will come from our what do you call, the material returns basically. So for this, how do we want to route it? So again, for this also I have selected the standard receipt. Okay, since I don't have any lot control on the other things, so I just left this option open. So I don't want to use that. Okay, so we have given this option and we saw the common configurations for these things as well. So now what we will do is that let's navigate back to the page and let's try to create an requisition. Okay, I didn't give the access to this unit, I think. Let me give. Okay, before that, I need to add a few roles to this user.
Okay.
So let me add from the security console.
Arun?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, for a single user, multiple roles can be assigned.
Yeah, yes, yes. We can assign because it is not that this particular user will do one particular activity, right? So we will assign multiple. I mean, we can assign. So this depends on the requirement. Whether this particular user will be working on this particular thing, like let's say only till the level of the requisition creation, or he
Mhm.
will also create the purchase order. So specifically, we can create the access for that as well.
Okay. But the user is different from the employee, right?
Yeah, user is different from employee, but for the employee case, if you see, we are creating the employee, and we are creating or we are attaching this user with the employee because he also need to have access for this.
You mean employee?
Yeah, employee should have access, right? So that is the thing. So that is why we are attaching it.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is attached or twice, I think. Yeah, so we have given access. Just give me 1 minute. Hello. 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 Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Ah, yes, Arun.
Yeah. Yeah. So we left this configuration called business foundation. I
Okay.
mean business function. So here we don't have much of it. So only thing is that whatever we created in the earlier configuration, we are just going to attach it. So here I'm attaching the payment terms and the shipment method. So this is the seeded one. So I'm just picking the seeded one. I'm not creating new one. And the buyer is nothing but the procurement agent that we created. So Arun 12 is the one that we created, and I mean we created TrainT, and Arun T was created already. Arun 12. So I'm attaching it, and inventory organization. If you remember, we created this Tata INV org. So I'm just attaching as it is. And currency, the ledger currency is USD. So I'm attaching the same currency.
Okay.
And corporate rate is used, so this is kind of a financial term to use the conversion rate and the other things. So what is the conversion rate is that basically it will specify if I'm doing foreign currency transaction, the rate. So let's say my functional currency or the country where I'm living is United States. So the
Okay.
currency that I will use is USD. But whereas I'm doing or I'm purchasing from, let's say, from China, so the currency will be different. Okay, so for those cases, I will register the China currency there in the corporate rate, and I will say that this is the rate that as on date, let's say for 1st to 10th of January. So I'll specify. So when let's say I do one purchase requisition or the purchase order on 5th of January. So this will pick from this particular rate called corporate. Okay. So that is the purpose. So if we wanted to have the preferred language, we can have it. Okay. And then we have the purchasing file size. So for few cases, we will have the attachments. So whether we wanted to have the minimum file size, so that we can set it up here. And we have the receipt close point, so that is received. So we have three things. So one is delivered, and we have received. So received is nothing but we are just what do you call entering the receipt. So that is when we call receipt. And delivered is something that we acknowledge that this item has been delivered. And we have another point is that accepted. So accepted is something when we do all those inceptions and all these things, we say that this has crossed our quality check. So in this case, I'm just selecting the standard one, that is received. Okay. And invoice close tolerance percent. So I don't want to give tolerance for the invoice much, because if I say purchase order or the receipt, that should match exactly. So I'll just say 0%. So if that is not matching, system will take this into hold. So I will need this particular functionality. So I'll say 0. Okay, and then I have a match approval level. So I say 2. So when I say 2, this means I'm trying to match with the purchase order. So when I say 3, it is with receipt. In case of 4, it is with the inspection. So I'll say 2. And whether I wanted to allow the manual price update in the fulfillment order. So I'm just allowing it, even though I'm not using it, I'll just allow it for now.
Okay.
And we have sourcing related information. So I'm not changing anything related to sourcing. I'll just leave as it is. That is request for quotation and the other things. Okay. And yeah, this point we have seen. And we have group requisition. So whether we wanted to group the requisition, so that I have given. So here in this particular area, I'm not changing any of the values. So I'm using as it is. So let's say the requisition grouping and line grouping. So everything I have left as it is. But if you want to group, we have these options. whether to group by the request date or the ship to, or so we can do that, but I'm just leaving these options open.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I didn't change anything. So these are all additional information. So that's it. We are done with our procurement business function. Yeah, any doubt in this?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah,
That conversion rate type you told no, that
yeah,
corporate.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, can you explain that
Yeah,
again?
so let's say I have an foreign currency transaction. Let's say my buyer is in, let's take India scenario where our company is Tata. So Tata is making some purchase from US. So in this case, if you see, INR is my functional currency or the ledger currency. But whereas if you see the transaction that I'm making, the vendor that I'm trying to interact with is not from India. He's from United States. So the currency that he will be using is USD. So I cannot say that just say 10 rupees in this case, because logically or accounting wise it is entirely different, because in real time case I will not pay only 10 rupees for this particular item. Instead I will pay 10 into 70, which means in their conversion rate. So logically this is an 700 rupees worth item. So for this case what we will do is that we will say that on 1st of January to 10th of January, the rate for USD to INR is 70 rupees. So when we say 70 rupees from 1st to 10th of January, so this will be applicable for this dates. So now I'm creating this purchase order on, let's say, 5th of January. Okay.
Okay.
So in this case, system what it will do is that I will enter 10 in INR, but this will convert into foreign currency transaction, that is 700 based on the conversion that we have given. So where we are giving it here is that we have different setups in finance, that it will specify that this is the currency from currency and this is the to currency and this is the rate and from which date to which date we will give the date range. So we will take that particular conversion rate type and we will attach it here, so that when we are making the foreign currency transaction or the foreign currency purchase order, we will just utilize this. Okay.
Okay, Arun.
Yeah, or any doubt?
Yeah, that's fine, Arun. You can move on.
Okay.
But if any fluctuations in those dates also will not affect, right? Whatever
This
we
will
are
be,
specifying 70 rupees means
yeah,
that is the fixed one
yeah,
between at
yeah, yeah,
1st
that's what
January
we.
to 10th January.
Yeah, correct. So here we have multiple options. So in case of US, let's say the rates are keep on changing and the market fluctuations are more than we expected. So in this case, we cannot use the standard rate. So we have different rates here. So when we say corporate, so this is a standard rate. So standard rate will be applicable mostly for the Middle East countries.
Okay.
So for Middle East countries, if you take, for example, let's take Saudi. So Saudi, if you see that is standard conversion, let's say 15 rupees to Saudi Riyal to INR, I mean USD. Okay,
Okay.
15 or 3 or whatever range that they are having it. So this will be standard for them. So here in this case, I can use the corporate. So I can just say that from 1st of January to 30th, 31st of January. So it is 70 rupees or 15 or 3, whatever the rate it is. But whereas for the cases where the currency will be market-based force, for example, US. So for this case, what I will do is that I have two options. So either I can check the rate at the time when I'm creating the purchase order, or I can say spot rate. So spot rate is kind of an interface where it will update time to time, or the user is something that I will check the current rate and I will update the rate here based on the agreement that we had. We are using here corporate because we will agree upon certain conditions and these things. So we will agree to the point that on this point, on this particular date, I'm giving the purchase order. So let's take this particular rate as an currency. So I will fix this rate in the corporate rate. So that is the reason we are attaching it there.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 So we have requisitioning business function. So here I have just attached the inventory arc that we created, and here I have given the line type as an goods. Okay, and import file by item. So let's say we wanted to have on-time address, so that is also possible. And apart from that, we have few other controls in terms of approval. So whether we wanted to initiate the re-approval when the active approval process is changed. So we can enable it, and if we wanted to use that. And we have create orders immediately after the requisition input. So to create the orders immediately, so I have just enabled this option, and approval required for the buyer modified lines. Let's say I have opted for 10 quantities. So now I'm changing it to 15 quantities. So whether this should be routed to the specified manager, or should it be saved it, should it be sent automatically to the vendor. So if I enable this particular option, which means this will be routed to the approval. Okay.
Okay.
And we have enable approver override. So enable approver override is something that, let's say Mr. A is my immediate manager. I wanted to change it to Mr. B. So if I enable this option, I'll be able to change from one particular approver to different approver.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have enable supply availability details for the internal transfers. So for the internal transfers, whether we wanted to enable this supply availability details. So I'm just leaving this for now.
Okay.
And others are like additional information. So we don't need this part basically. So this is like if we enable the DFF, we will have all those informations. And in the purchasing column we will have the default procurement BU. So when we create the purchase order, so this particular business unit will be defaulted there. Okay, so other things are related to tolerance, so this we have seen it already, so I'll just leave this part.
Okay.
Any doubt?
No, Arun.
Okay. Yeah, so other parts we have already created, so that's it on this part. And items also we have already created and attached to it. Yeah. So we are done with almost this parts.
Okay.
So the only part that is pending for us now is that tab. So tab is nothing but the transaction builder. So why do we use this particular functionality is that, let's say I'm creating this particular requisition. So when I'm booking this order, so how system should basically or they calculate the account code combination. Let's say I'm purchasing the laptop. So what account should it reflect? So that is what we are mentioning here in the tab, that is transaction account builder. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have standard things. Okay, so I have just creating a mapping set for this particular account code generation. So this will be usually the finance resource activity. Just for an understanding, I'm just creating one set of it.
Okay.
So here, if you see, I'm creating the mapping set. I'm giving the mapping set name, and I'm giving the account code combination. Okay,
Okay.
and the application that I have selected is purchasing. Okay, and here I have given the input source. So input source that I'm giving is supplier. So which means when the supplier is Tata Auto 03 and the what do you call the chart of account that is COA instance, that is this particular combination. So this account code will be generated. Okay. So this is kind of a rule that we are giving, and we will attach it in the next step that we are going to create. So after mapping set, basically we will create a rule for each one of it, like the charge account, and we will create for variants and the other things.
Okay.
So I have just attached the rule that we created in the earlier configuration,
Okay.
and here we can just attach our the rule here.
Arun?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, why we are doing this mapping, Arun?
So what will happen is that when we create the requisition or the purchase order,
Okay.
so this will represent the accounting information. So the accounting will pass through to the receipt. So basically, we will not have accounting for the requisition or RFQ, I mean the quotation or the purchase order. But whereas we will have the accounting for our receipt application and the delivery. So if at all we wanted to complete this particular action, so we will need the accounting information to be passed through. So in order to generate the accounting flow there, we need to set up here basically. So we need to specify a condition where system will accept and it will generate the account code combination.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the reason we are giving these combinations.
Okay.
I think some issue with this form. Let me close and reopen. Okay, this let me check this because that functional, I mean, the finance consultant should have been done. Okay, let me check this and we will meet again. So
Okay, Arun.
uh, next week, Saturday will be free, right?
Yes, yes, Arun.
Yeah, so we will see next week then. Yeah, so for inventory part, we have few parts like here and there we have small things.
Okay,
So that we will see, and the transaction wise we will see this one. So this it's good to have as an informative. So I'll try to close this one and we will see the purchase order and this P2P flow. Okay,
okay,
so this will be our agenda for Saturday,
okay,
and Sunday we will cover the order management. So we will see that.
okay, Arun.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, yes, Arun. That's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thanks.
much, Arun.
Thanks.